Right? Shalom, shalom, shalom. That means peace in Hebrew. And prophesied what's going on in the world. It's already been written. America, the Bible is known as the history for Babylon. The golden cup that the Lord has in his hand, filled with all types of abominations. Prime example, Maya Emsham Bible said, giving control of the nation's money, I care not who create the laws. As you can tell, they don't abide by any laws of the Bible, but they get inaugurated by the Bible every fifth term. It's going to show you that's the left-hand side. But without further ado, we're going to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, by Hashem, Dash. Right? Yahweh shines from the world, he called Jesus. Because English it wasn't even around 2,000 years ago, so we know his name is Yahweh Shai. Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh. All right, now Jehovah. Going to give double honors to the elders at Great Millstone who taught us this truth through the Spirit. All right, the elders been preaching this word before I was born. Everything they said has happened. It's going to happen. We can see it's happening. All right, we're going to give single honor to the like-minded men that's out there putting their lives on the line every day to bring forth this truth, right? Because nobody wants to hear about the kingdom falling, but we're just messengers, so don't kick us down the hole like Leonidas did in 300. We also want to give peace and blessings to the 1/3 and to the confusion of faces in the four corners of the earth. But there's no such thing as a black Hebrew Israelite when you have Spanish-speaking tribes and Native American tribes who also are Hebrew Israelites, right? And also there was an article that came out that showed Paleo-Hebrew that was found in Puerto Rico. So that's just more evidence that there's no such thing as a black Hebrew Israelite. We're just Hebrew Israelites. And according to the transatlantic slave trade, we've been scattered all over the world. So hence, you can't just be black to be an Israelite, all right? Anyhow, getting into the subject matter, corrupt powers are being exposed by the light. And the Father of spirits is speaking, right? It's a beautiful thing that was going on right now because remember in the scripture where it says Satan cannot cast out Satan, all right? Or a kingdom will be divided within itself. And this is happening right now with America. It's always been a bipartisan, so America's always been divided. Remember that. You always had the House, you always had the Senate. You have the Democratic, you always had the Republican, the blue states, the red states, however you want to look at it. That what's happening is you have this spy versus spy was going. Everybody pointing fingers at each other, but it's always been what? The rich eat up the poor. And the powers you see right now have always been around because the Lord has sanctioned it. Going back to Romans the 9th chapter, when it says, whoever resists the will of the Lord. Remember when Moses told Pharaoh to let his people go, the Lord said he hardened Pharaoh's heart, meaning he made him hard-headed. He made it to where he didn't want to let the people go to show his power. So every emperor, every power, every government that's been ruling, the Lord is the reason why that person is in that stead. I mean, going back to the king of Babylon, ancient Babylon at that, it was Nebuchadnezzar, right? The Lord had it to where he was like a wild beast in the field. His hair going and his nails was going on. He was praying. And then after that, the Lord brought him back to his senses. What he did, he praised the Lord. So every dictator, every emperor, every pharaoh, every king, how you want to look at it, they all have been set up by the Lord. All right? So can you get Romans 13:1?
This is Romans 13:1. That every soul be subject unto the higher power.
Right.
For there is no power but of Yahweh, the power that be are ordained of God.
Right. So it said, let everybody be subject to the higher power, because every power that be has been ordained by God. I mean, you're the president of the United States. That makes you the commander-in-chief, right? I mean, and if you want to launch those new codes, you got it. Like, you're that power. The Lord set you up. Just like he set Putin up. Just like he set Kim Jong-un up. All these dictators, all these rulers. Right? So even the scripture says, agree with thy adversary. Right? You get pulled over by the police. How you doing, officer? Because we're subject to them, right? How you doing, officer? How can I help you? Give me your license registrations and all that good stuff. Cooperate. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Whatever the situation may be. Right? Keep going on.
Verse 2, Romans 13:2. Whosoever thereof resisteth the power, resist the ordinance of God.
Right? So whoever resists the power resists the ordinance of God. Once again, going back to the government. Right? Government means rule. Means your mind, mentality. Right? And that's what the government does. As of right now, it's always been controlling and dictating your every way faction of life, regardless of how you vote or even if you vote or not. Right? Go ahead up.
And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
Right, and them that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Like going back to the gradualism thing, right? Like they slowly but surely is gonna make everything digital, right? Because over in Nigeria, I think like 85% of Nigeria is like cashless right now, and they want to make all of Nigeria cashless, but they doing it by means of how do they say it? People over Nigeria need like what? I think they need 40. They need like $44 or something to survive daily. But they're saying if you don't transfer over to the digital side, you're only going to be able to get like $40-something. That's putting the squeeze on the people, right? It's gradually making you have to confine to the society. Shalom, diagrams and Boswell. How about you, man? That's correct. Yeah. Because we think about the western side of Africa, really going back to 70 BC when Vespasian and his son Titus and Domitian did a great slaughter to us. We fled into northern Africa. I mean, even if you go and look up the Benign Kingdom, B-E-N-I-N, look up the Benign Kingdom and look up an ancient map. It will literally say Kingdom of Judah in the lower portion of the west coast of Africa. Because who did they take into slavery? The Israelites. They know that. But anyhow, when they had the expulsion from Spain, the Jays that was exposed from Spain, those was us because the first slaves came from Portugal and Spain. But that's why they took the Bible out of school, because Bible and history correlates. But anyhow, going back to the powers to be have been ordained by the Most High. Just like when the Lord told us when we was in think about this, Mount Sinai, when Moses came down with the law, statutes, and commandments, they also had prophecies in them. So when you read Deuteronomy, that's not only talking about the dual law, but the law also had prophecies in it. Like the 28th chapter said, we were going to slavery on ships if we didn't keep the laws. We didn't think that was going to happen thousands of years later, but the Lord said it and it happened. Like going back into when John the Revelator was on the island of Patmos, right? John the Revelator, he died on the island of Patmos, but the Lord told John that the angel told John, you will prophesy again against many kings and many nations and people. Then he also gave a revelation of not being able to buy or sell unless you had the Quran. And all those things were spoken thousands of years ago, or millenniums and centuries ago, and they're happening right now. That's why everything's written in parables, right? So anyhow, you go back to 13 and 3. Oh no, I'm sorry. Read 2. I don't know if you finished that. Okay, you go to 3.
Romans 13 and 3. Right. For rulers are not terror to good works, but to evil.
So rulers are not terror. So rulers are not terror to good works, but to evil. Go ahead.
But thou then not be afraid of the power. Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise over the same. Verse 4. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do which is evil, be afraid. For he breathes not the sword in vain.
Right, so he breathes not the sword in vain. Remember that's twofold. But the word is a sword too. Remember, it said the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing evil to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and is a discerner of your thoughts and intents of your heart. Loosely translated, the Lord don't give a F about your feelings. It's thus saith the Lord. That's pretty much what it means. Either right or left. There's no such thing as binary or all this. No, it's either right or left. And that's how it is, right? So you either get salvation and condemnation, nothing else. Go ahead.
For he is the minister of God and revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil.
Keep going.
Wherefore you must need to be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. Verse 6. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they that are good ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
Right, continuing upon this very thing. Now, going into we already established the powers to be are ordained by the Most High. Can you give me Job 12 and 26? I think it's Job 12 and 16, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Yeah, Baba Gashad. Start at 15.
Start at 15.
No matter of fact, no, just 16. I'm sorry. 16, yes.
Job 12 and 16.
Right.
With him is strength and wisdom.
Right.
To deceive and the deceiver are his.
So with the Most High is strength and wisdom, and the deceived and the deceiver are his. Now, I'm going to give you an example of that. MAGA, make America great again, right? Soon as Trump got into office, right, a lot of people don't even know. Elon Musk had 85 advisors who were small hats, you know, the 1948ers. And you know that they're always going to put Israel before America. So how MAGA is Trump when his advisors are those small hats over there and they want to take over Gaza? Now, once again, it's that's why the Lord said, follow not a multitude to do evil. A lot of these people are walking around with their eyes wide shut. They're still looking for this government, this entity that's constantly been, how should I say, pressing you down while they're making their pockets fat. Because what happened when Doge came about, what they call it, the Department of Government Efficiency, all your taxpayers' dollars, they're showing you where that money's going. Once again, we always say we don't care who's in office. They're all in favor for the lobbyists. They're all in favor for what? They're all in favor for war. So when you're looking at the Dem side, they're talking about all these people around the world. They're going to miss this aid because they're not going to be able to get the aid from the USAID. But when you go into where a lot of this money was going, like they broke it down. He said $27 million to George Soros' trial. $21 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. I don't know what that is. $2 million for Moroccan pottery. $11 million to tell Vietnam to stop burning trash. This is what these young kids inside the government offices find out where all this money's going. These wizards, man. Hey, I'm not against it. People don't understand, though. It's a lot of sensitive information that's being exposed, right? But what is Musk? Right? Musk is a billionaire. He's worth $400 billion. He's not going to steal your money. You're trying to see where your money's going. But he's going to show you how corrupt the society is, man. We're talking about a society that was built off of rape, robbery, murder, lies, and deceits. You mean to tell me the same people are going to tell you the truth, not going to deceive you as well? That's what happens when you lay in bed with a snake. You're going to get bit eventually. Going back. $27 million to give gift bags to illegals. You know what's funny, though? Everybody talking about putting all the Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters back across the border, right? What about all those foreigners that came here from all the other countries that America has blitzkrieg and destroyed? You have so many people here who are asylum seekers. Remember that happened? You had all those people that were displaced. There are millions of people that's displaced, and a lot of the casualty in the other countries are women and children. That's why they're moving up into the European countries. That's why they're getting flown over here to the United States. Why do you think you have people doing caravans from thousands of miles south of the border coming to America? Because America's going to their homeland, destroying their land, extracting all their resources, so you leave them no place to go. But then you're saying these people are coming here illegally, but you're over there illegally doing mischievous deeds and having coups. But all the American people, they look at NBC and they don't go and do their own research. That's why you people are idiots. That's why the world really hate Americans. They're stupid. All they do is going to feed off the propaganda, which is cancerous to them. But the rest of the world, like people say tariffs are good. How good are the tariffs when you have people here in America that's going to end up paying the taxes on that? These companies are not going to pay the taxes on that because Trump's going to be proud. They're going to up the prices for you. And guess what? Your job not going to give you more money. So now your cost of living is going to go up. You may lose customers. People may not be able, like I saw an article, they said like 1,000 cartons of eggs were stolen from a very famous eatery that does a lot of rush deals on eatery and breakfast menu deals like on Saturday. They said all the eggs, 1,000 cartons worth of eggs gone. And you can tell it's like a mom and pop's business. This is happening all over America, man. Yeah, so there's so much perplexity going on. As a matter of fact, you type in the word perplex, you type it in for PERPLEX. That's what's happening right now in society. Because people are at the variance, but now you got people that voted for something like, I don't know if I like what he's doing. At the same time, though, think about about the NAFTA, you pretty much disannul NAFTA when you put tariffs on Mexico and Canada. And NAFTA pretty much saying you will not tax any goods that cross our borders. You pretty much disannulled that once you started putting tariffs on them. Well, you said you were going to postpone it. And now you're going to put tariffs on China. But China's going to put tariffs on Vermont and brandy that comes from Europe. So now your allies are catching hell because of your pride. And what about the steel and aluminum? Matter of fact, I got an article, a local article. Those tariffs are affecting business in Tampa right now. A lot of people don't know those tariffs that China had put on that brandy and Vermont. They started those taxes back in January 1st. So even though Trump want to put these tariffs on China as of lately, China already been ahead of the game. And remember, Nigeria and Indonesia, they are other countries that just joined BRICS. So a lot of these other countries, they're getting away from the dollar. Now they're finding ways around. They're finding ways around these tariffs. Well, not tariffs, but they call it sanctions. They're finding ways around these sanctions on how they can still sell their own goods without having to be taxed by the petrodollar. Everything's going digital anyway, but you still need oil for what? For these refineries, for the cargo ships and everything like that. You're still gonna need oil, even though you want to go digital. You want to make everything electric. You still need oil. Right? You need oil to produce the electric cars, to produce the batteries. No matter how you look at it, man. So the whole world right now is somewhat in the quagmire, but America's going to be standing alone. But because of pride, well, it has to come. Because pride goes before your destruction. But nonetheless, let's go to it. It's supposed to be in the New Testament. Right here, boom. 21-25, yeah? Luke 21.
This is Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring.
It said the earth distress of nations, the perplexity. All right, everybody's perplexed right now. So when you're thinking about it, when you had the CD19, right? Oh, I also come to this conclusion too. I found out that $50 million that they found out through Doge went to the lab that released that Resident Evil. But I brought that out years ago. That you actually had virologists from the States that were also over there weeks prior before the outbreak. People are gonna keep pointing the finger at China, like America, they had their foot in it. And like I say, these people are idiots, man. It's sad to say, they're just sadists. They don't really understand what's going on in the world. Your own government have you in the trick bag. You really think either side cares? It's saying the people who wanted the Dems to win, guess where all your money was going? It wasn't going to you, right? And this is what's happening. They're upset because they're being exposed. This is what's happening. The skirt's being lifted up on Beverly. And what they're doing, because they have like a four-man team, if I'm not mistaken, with like 4 different teams. You have the wizards, who are those young kids that's hacking. You have a lawyer, and then you also have a receptionist. And what they do, they're looking at where these funds are going. They're looking at the hours being allocated for the people that work for the USAID. Some people are coming in working 10, 20 hours, but they're getting like paid $20,000 a month. They're saying, no, fire those people. That's what they're doing. They're looking at how many hours people are working, how much they're getting paid, where this money's going. So all the Dems are saying, oh my God, these people are going to lose aid all over the world. Yeah, but what about that 50 million y'all had the 50 million you had at Wuhan? Or what about the 20 million that you used for pottery classes over there in Morocco? Like, that's stupid, right? So you're just being exposed for the evil people that you are. So can you please give me Psalm 64? Right. So once again, Satan cast out Satan, and kingdom being divided. So all we have to do is sit back and watch the shit show, right? And this society was never created for us. Remember, we're 3/5 of a man and all the other stuff. And besides, this is our captivity. We're still in captivity to this day. It's not physical chains, physical shackles on us. That's mental shackles on us, right? That's what it is. We have mental shackles on us. Our people can have PhDs, they can have doctorates, but they still call themselves black. But you can find that in the Crayola crayon box. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, let's go. All right, sure. One, this one.
This is Psalms 64 and 1. To the chief musician, Psalm of David, hear my voice, O God, and my prayer.
The chief musician, the son of David, he said, hear my voice. He said, hear my voice and my prayer. Go ahead.
Preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
He said, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. And look at the way the society is going right now. Man, it's people are losing their marbles. I will listen to Elder Malcolm, but he was talking about how his sister was saying what he told her years ago has finally come to pass, and it like struck her in the heart. Like there was this woman that had you remember growing up, like you go to the store, man, we go to the store, man, we have 2 baskets full of food. And my mama had 4 kids, so we eat good. Nowadays, people try to go with a basket full of food. You ain't gonna do that. You can't do that nowadays, right? So his sister said she saw a Polish woman, well-dressed, everything. Inside the store, had a basket, couldn't afford everything, only got a few things she wanted, and left everything else on the damn counter. Like, they're really going through that. They're offering their children, you know, sacrificing their families. And Jake going crazy, too. Putting their children in ovens. It's like they can't take the pressure of what's to come. And the shit hasn't even hit the fan yet. It's just prepping. It's on its way. Right? And people are still losing as of right now. So imagine all these people, and then remember they cut the EBT Section 8. That means so many people. Think about this, because they use us as the face of SNAP and all that. There's this Edomite woman, Caucasian woman. She's been getting $3,200. I'm sorry, $2,000 in food stamps. She been getting Section 8. And she's also married. She's been getting this for 10 years. She's not even black. She's a Caucasian woman, but they look at us as to being the poster child for the food stamps and services. For 10 years, she's been getting food stamps for $2,000. She also been getting Section 8, and she has a husband. She's living good. Robbing the system. But they always have us at the middle. That's why I say people don't research and all that stuff. So what do you expect? The Lord said he loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom. So when you understand that the slain of the Lord shall be many, will not many people seek wisdom. It makes sense. So what do you expect, right? So anyhow, keep going about the show.
This is Psalm 64 and 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked,
right?
For the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
For the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. There's going to be insurrection here in America too, right? For an example, I saw on the news in Lincoln Heights, Ohio, you had some Proud Boys get out of the back of a U-Haul truck, you know, like cowards, had their face masks, and they had a swastika flag hanging from the bridge. Just local people walked up on the passage and they ran them off into the Penske, or not the Penske truck, the U-Haul truck. And guess who escorted them onto the U-Haul truck? The police officers. I tell people, man, police officers today are no different than slave patrol, right? They just have a license to kill. That's all that means. No different than the military. They're like the lowest form of the military, but now they've been militarized as well. So the police officer was escorting them back on the U-Haul. And then you had people from the city that came over. They burned the flag, the swastika flag, and people left. This here, they spelled out LH because it's Lincoln Heights. They spelled out LH with bullet cases on top of the burnt flag. So that's letting you know, Egypt. Remember, Egyptian versus Egyptian. That's an insurrection. People are already fighting as of right now. So the Proud Boys got ran off. They got their flag burned, and then they put bullets on the ground that said LH. And then they had the token Negro pastor. You know, they had to interview him. So how do you feel? How do you? He said, "Oh, well, evil won't win. Wicked won't win. You tried to win." It's like just some cliche bullshit, but it's like, no. What's going to happen is there's going to be nation rising against nation, insurrection here. That's what's going to be happening, and you can already see it. I just saw a veteran too, also online, that said he hasn't been paid by the VA for almost 2 months, and every time he calls, they're giving him some BS runaround about, something with the administration, yada, yada, yada. And he's saying, well, I'm not getting paid from the VA. But here it is, you have these individuals that's in office that are pushing papers that, because, you know, talking about how all this money's being exposed, all this money's being spread out, they can't even pay their own veterans. Even the Lord said there are 3 things that they can upset. The 4 is an abomination, and one of them is what? A man of war that lives in poverty. So Lord got an issue with America. How you got people that go and put their lives on the line that fight for your foreign policy? Because you're not fighting for freedom. and then these people have to come back and beg you to give them money. Even the Lord got a problem with that. There shouldn't be no veteran out here begging for freaking money. But you got these idiots in these office that's spending $20 million on pottery classes in Morocco, right? But anyhow, I digress. Anyhow, let's keep going on.
This is Psalm 64:3. Who wet their tongue like a sword, and to bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even the bitter sword.
Right, and wet, W-H-E-T, means to sharpen your sword. And remember, like, for instance, the whip used to be the weapon of choice in slavery. Now the modern day whip is the pen, right? But they can decide the way your life